Hello mates, welcome to Budgie Gaming. I'm your host Finley. I'm excited to share a new series of videos I'll start making titled Clearing the Backlog. We all have that pesky backlog that we all hope to get through, even though we probably never will, but it's fun to try. Basically, this is my way of talking to you about games I've recently completed, how I felt about the game, things I liked, things I disliked, and all of that fun stuff. There really aren't any restrictions to these videos. Sometimes it might be a bunch of old games, sometimes it might be a bunch of new games, or sometimes it might be a mix. Right now, I'm on a Game Pass kick because I want to try and knock out as many Game Pass games as possible since my subscription expires in a few months. And there is no chance in hell I'm paying $30 a month for that service. Unless there is a deep discount this holiday season, I don't see me subbing to Game Pass for a very long time, if ever. So yeah, it should be fun to see how many games I can get through before my subscription expires. Be sure to hit like and subscribe if you enjoy this type of content, and let me know down in the comments what you've been playing recently. The first game I want to talk about also might be my favorite on the entire list, which is Wheel World. So this is a game I knew I would like, but I didn't know I would like it as much as I did. Before I even played it, I knew the art style was really cool. What can I say? I'm a whore for the fall season, and this game nails it in the first section of this game. But beyond just a pretty skin, the game is a ton of fun to play. The bicycles feel pretty realistic to control, but also don't feel overly difficult or frustrating to control once you get the hang of it. It felt smooth, fast, and responsive, which are a must in any racing game for me. Even though it is one large map, there are about 4 or 5 different subsections of the map, and each section has its own boss fight, if you will, which is basically just a harder race that you can only attempt once you reach a certain amount of reputation. Which brings me to something I found very cool about this game. I didn't realize this as I was playing, but it seems you can race any boss in any order you want, as long as you have enough reputation. I found this out a little after I raced the first boss. I decided to go to the city where the boss required 50 reputation points. After beating this boss, I found out that this boss requires the highest amount of reputation in the game, minus the final boss. So yeah, pretty cool that you're given the option to beat the game in whatever order you want. I enjoyed the upgrade system as well. They actually felt like they mattered because you could really feel the speed of your bicycle change. I will say that the last level is a pretty big letdown. Even though I love what they do with the story in this section of the game, the world feels a bit too overcrowded, which makes the racing not nearly as interesting as it is in the other sections of the game. Remember when I said the controls felt pretty realistic to actually riding a bicycle? That doesn't translate well into a land that is overcrowded with junk. Overall, I had a blast with this game, and I'll definitely be buying a copy to own. I'm hoping there is a physical copy at some point, because I would absolutely love to have this on my shelf. Next up is Sopa, Tale of the Stolen Potato. I would like to thank Studio Bando for the review code. It is very much appreciated. This is a cute adventure game where you're sucked into another world when a creature steals the last potato from your pantry, and it's up to you to return it so your grandmother can continue cooking her meal. You're basically spending the game in another universe, tracking down the thief and potato. As absurd as it sounds, it's handled in a charming way. During these moments of craziness, you're able to travel back home and hear stories told by your grandmother, which counters the more zany parts of the story. These stories often reflect on her past and are a treat to listen to. There were a few problems I had with the game, but most of them could easily be fixed with patches. Floating down the river in the early portion of the game wasn't as smooth as I hoped. Parts of it felt great, but other parts felt glitchy. There were some camera angle issues in parts of the game, but they weren't terrible. Just a bit on the claustrophobic side. I think the oddest thing was how beautiful and whimsical the graphics looked in the real world. But once you entered the other universe, the graphics seemed to lose their whimsical touch. I realize that isn't something that could be an easy fix, but it felt like an odd artistic choice. Overall, I had a great time with this game. It's a fun 3-hour game that has a very cute and sometimes touching story. I'm not sure if I would spend the $20 they're asking for, but if you find it on sale and it seems like something you'll enjoy, I'll definitely say it is worth a pickup. Next up is Poltergeist Possession Party. I actually didn't have any intention of playing this, but there were a few days where you could play it for free on the Xbox, so I figured, why the hell not, and gave it a shot. I was honestly surprised by how fun this game was. It was a cute, spooky game to play during Halloween season. It's basically a multiplayer game where you and 7 others are trying to screw each other over, so a giant monster will slowly pick everyone off until there is only one left standing. You screw each other over by placing traps, hiding in items around the map, or using power-up that either benefits you or messes the other players up. Since this game is multiplayer-focused and allows you to play against bots, you never really finish this game, which is a huge bonus. It blows my mind how many multiplayer games fail to add bots, so it's nice to see a small indie game doing this. Even though this game technically never ends, I feel like I played as much of it as I'm going to. I will say I enjoyed my time with the game, and I was surprised by how much I did enjoy the game. I might buy it once it goes on sale, because it would be a nice game to pick up and play for a little bit during spooky season. And considering how busy I usually am during Halloween season, it'll be nice to have something to play in short, quick bursts when I'm needing my spooky fix. Before I get to my last game, please consider hitting that like and subscribe button. It's a huge help for small channels like mine, and it'll let me know that you enjoy these types of videos, which would be a huge help since I plan on making this a series. So it'll be great to know how you feel about this type of content. Lastly, I want to talk about Ball X Pit. Like Poltergeist, this is another game that you don't exactly beat since there is so much replayability here, but I've put a ton of time into this game, so I wanted to talk about it. This is possibly the most addictive game I've played this entire year. And honestly, it might be the most addictive game I've played since Vampire Survivors, which says a lot. As much as I like Ball Pit, it sadly doesn't hit the highs of Vampire Survivors. Now don't get me wrong, the gameplay is awesome, the art style is great, and fusing balls and seeing what crazy power-up you get is a blast. But the addictive nature of the game is also its detriment. I realize that sounds crazy, so let me explain. There is this town-building mechanic that is a blast in the early game. You get blueprints for buildings by completing levels or defeating bosses. Once you build these buildings, they give you a wide variety of benefits, such as new characters, character buffs, or ways to collect resources more efficiently. You use your characters to build new buildings or collect resources between each level. Once you complete a level run, the cooldown is finished and you get to build and gather again. The issue with this is you're basically forced to build and gather in between each run, because if you don't, then it feels like a waste because you need to upgrade every chance you get, because the later levels become quite difficult. And to help with the difficult levels, you need these resources and upgraded buildings. The issue with this is the building and gathering becomes so slow and boring after a while, so you basically can't keep playing levels over and over, which is what I wanted to do because you really need to do upgrades after each run. And it really brings the game down after a while. There is another issue that is common among nearly every roguelite, but it seems extremely apparent in Ball Pit. If you're unlucky and can't get some of the better power-ups, you're almost guaranteed to lose, especially if you're using some of the weaker characters. Now, like I said, this isn't an issue exclusive to Ball Pit, but it feels way worse in Ball Pit than it does in a game like Vampire Survivors. I know I'm kind of shitting on the game, but the only reason is because I played so much of it that it becomes easy to see its flaws after a while. This is a game I will eventually buy because I'm having a lot of fun with it, but this will definitely become a game I only play in short bursts because the town building really drags it down after a while. Alright now, have you played any of these games? If so, what are your feelings on them? Do you agree or disagree with my opinions? Let me know in the comments. And like I said earlier, also let me know what you've been playing recently. Until next time, take care, mates.